You're listening to the Chad Hasty Show on demand. Good for you. Now download the KFYO app and listen live weekday afternoons, 5 to 7 p.m. Central.
These young people are on their college campus. They're already left-leaning, and then they are being indoctrinated further.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, weekdays 11 till 2 on News Talk KFYO. Add the KFYO text line to your contacts and voice your opinion during our local shows. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO and on the KFYO app. 100-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Good evening, Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene, Wichita Falls, Midland, Odessa, Dallas, Fort Worth, down in Houston, over in El Paso, and anywhere else, inside or outside the great state of Texas, wherever you may be listening on this Wednesday, October 16th. We welcome you into the program wherever you are today. Maybe you're stuck in traffic. Maybe you're on your way home. Maybe you're still stuck at the office, or maybe you're there. You're at the house. You're pulling into the driveway. You're very excited to be home on this Wednesday, halfway through the work week, and we've got quite a bit to get into here on the program. Last night, there was a U.S. Senate debate between Ted Cruz and Colin Allred. We'll get through some of that. I want to know your thoughts. Have you watched any of last night's debate? Would love to know your thoughts on that. We were going to have Ted Cruz on today, but things got in the way. So no Cruz today. He might be on later in the week, or maybe next week. We'll see. Of course, today he's in the Amarillo area. Tomorrow he'll be in Lubbock with his bus tour. We'll get more into that, and it'll lead to one of our running topics today that we want to get your opinion on. We've also got quite a bit of election 2024 news, also some local headlines that we'll be getting into. And then in the 6 o'clock hour, I'm going to spend time on the current map as we know it, the current electoral map as we know it, and as of today, what Trump has to do in order to win, and what Kamala Harris has to do in order to win. So we're going to break that down coming up in the 6 o'clock hour this evening. We've got some other Kamala Harris news, plagiarism news that we'll be getting into. And, of course, we want to hear from you on a variety of topics. Really anything that you want to get into on the show today. Feel free to text in at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can text in. You can also give us a call at 1-800-687-0790. That's 1-800-687-0790. The first voice you hear from when you dial in today, it's just Nick enjoying a little sweater weather today.
Hard to say, yeah.
It is a little bit hard to
weather,
say.
yeah.
Sweater weather.
Yeah.
I'm new at this whole talking thing.
Yeah, no, you'll get used to it.
Yeah.
No, it's day 2 of me opening the door.
Yeah.
And I can't get over it. I feel like I'm back in Wisconsin, like very briefly.
Yeah.
And then I come back to reality, and no, I'm not back in Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, thank goodness you're not. I mean.
Of course.
Come on now.
Texas.
Yeah.
No, now correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
It is Global Cat Day?
Today's Global Cat Day.
Global Cat Day.
Yes.
Now, living in Lubbock,
yes,
we see our fair share of cats.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
Yeah. There's a entire communities of cats
Yeah.
running the streets. Yes.
So I just learned something that apparently you're not supposed to kill them.
No.
Okay, but there's a bigger reason, as opposed to it's rude.
Okay.
Apparently, if you kill the cats,
Yes.
you catch them, you dispose of them. There's this phenomenon in Lubbock where they will new cats will move in.
Yeah.
They'll take the place of the one you've eliminated.
Yes.
Either one or more. So basically, you cut the head off of one.
Yeah.
And two more sprout up.
They multiply. Yes.
Right. It's called the vacuum effect. Apparently. And I thought that was fascinating. I did not know that cats would do that. I knew they were territorial.
Yeah.
But I guess when one leaves, it's free real estate for whatever other cats. So that I know the Lubbock City wants to dissuade you from capturing
Yes.
and then killing, because they're like, hey, you know what? It's not going to make a difference, because it give it some time, and more will come.
How many cats have you killed?
I lose track.
Right, yeah.
I like to spend my weekends with a pellet gun. But
Just wondering what led you to this.
learning this,
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's not anything evil.
Yeah. Well, I hope not.
Yeah.
But
Because I saw that it was Global Cat Day.
Yeah.
It's also National Feral Cat Day.
yes, and we have again the feral cat community.
And that's how it got. That's how my journey of my mind
Yeah.
began.
We basically have, for those who are upset that we don't have a zoo
Yeah.
here in Lubbock, which they've got a zoo in Amarillo, they have a zoo in Abilene. Take a road trip, okay? All right, you can take a road trip, go and visit Amarillo, go and visit Abilene, enjoy the zoos that they have there. We basically have a zoo every day. We have prairie dogs running amok in different parts of Lubbock, not just at Prairie Dog Town,
Yeah.
which that's a little tourist trap there.
I liked it.
But
I thought it was nice.
you can go anywhere and see the little rodents that are out there.
At least you don't have to pay for it.
That's true.
It's free.
That's something
Prairie
that the
Dog
city
Town.
really has screwed up on. Is not making sure, they should have
Yeah.
they should have built in a way to make some money off of Prairie Dog Town.
You know what they should have right next to it? A cat sanctuary. A cat
That's
sanctuary.
everywhere.
Then they
Again, we have
but-
that everywhere.
But then they can wrangle up all the cats and then just throw them in this cat sanctuary. Put some balls of yarn,
They're going to get out.
little saucers of milk.
Yeah.
They'll love that.
See, we have, I guess you could call them barn cats now.
Yeah.
But one cat came to us as a feral cat, and she was just like, and
As they do.
we fed her,
Yeah.
gave her some water, all that. She had kittens, and now we've got kittens running around. We got cats running around, and we don't. They find their own shelter.
Yeah.
They find their own food.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do their cat things, and then sometimes you'll see one, and then it'll be a month or two before you see it again. And you're like, maybe the cat's dead. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then one day they're just like, what's up? What's happening?
Are they good mousers? Do they?
Yes.
Do they keep your property
Yes.
rodent free?
Yes, they do.
That's good.
They do a
That's
very
good.
good job of that.
Yeah.
That and the giant owl that we had that lives in the backyard.
I feel like the cats would be more in danger of
No.
the owl.
No,
It's the other way around?
I think they work together. I think they work in tandem
Oh.
sometimes
for the little mouse friends.
to go after the rodents. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they have their own areas.
Yeah.
They communicate. They have their own areas of where they're going to go. But no, between the owl that we have at least one owl, maybe more than that,
Yeah.
and then we've got just feral cat, just our cats.
Yeah.
Now that just run the property and run all over the place, and then go somewhere. We don't know. We have
Yeah.
no idea where they go. They go out somewhere.
And hopefully they come back.
Sometime we don't care if
Yeah.
they come back or not, because at some point another cat will come around.
Hey, vacuum effect. There you go.
Yeah,
Get rid of
exactly.
one.
So
Yeah.
there was a time where we went, well, we haven't seen one of the cat. I can't remember its name. I think we called it Fats because it was a big cat.
Okay.
And so we had not seen Fats for a while, and we were like, well, maybe Fats is gone. And then one day, like after 3 months, There he is, just sitting on top of one of the cages outside that we have. And he was just like, what's happening?
Yeah.
It's good to see you. I've been on vacation. I've traveled. I went out to Idalou, came back. Maybe he went down to Slayton.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. And he came back, and he was still fat. So he had eaten well.
This is part of my argument to why I think cats are better than dogs.
They're not better than dogs. No.
The resiliency of cats is unmatched.
That's true, but that doesn't mean they're better than dogs.
To me, it does.
Yeah,
I like cats.
no.
I think cats are great.
No, cats are not great. They're terrible. But we do on the Facebook page, we do ask you today, since today's Global Cat Day, and you can even send in your cat photos on the app chat if you'd like to do that. We're asking for the pictures of the kitties today. You know, we do that for the dogs. Now for the cats, you know, we want to be nice to the kitties out there. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. When we come back, we'll start getting into the news of the day. We'll have a running topic for you. It's kind of an interesting one we've never done before. We'll be right back.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
As the election gets closer, let's go into some of the battleground states. We will head up to Wisconsin and out to Arizona to talk with two Senate candidates, Eric Hovde and Carrie Lake, and see what they see on the ground in both of their battleground states. Plus, Buck.
Kamala Harris has decided she actually has to do some media, and that included a sit-down with Brett Baer. We'll discuss how that went for her on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, tomorrow morning at 11.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
On the Chat HD show, Kamala Harris is sitting down. Well, it was a pre-recorded interview with Brett Baer on Fox News, and it's airing right now. And I've been able to dip into some of that, and I haven't been able to listen to the entire thing, obviously, but it's getting some rave reviews right now on social media that Brett Baer is actually asking questions to Kamala Harris. Questions that she is not enjoying, and questions that have not been asked of Kamala Harris. In fact, just a few minutes ago, he had asked her, you know, your campaign slogan is a new way forward, yet the last 3 years you've been in office. And she's basically she cannot accept the premise of the question. She said no, it's all about we're turning the page from Donald Trump's rhetoric, which makes no sense at all because Donald Trump's rhetoric does not impact the economy. Donald Trump's rhetoric does not impact the day-to-day lives of anybody. And most people have no idea what Donald Trump says every single day. They have no idea. Most people don't care. See, what Kamala Harris is trying to say is, well, my new way forward, my way of turning the page. Well, forget about the last 3 years. Don't worry about me being in office for the last 3 years, which is what she's telling Brett Baer right now. Instead, it's all Donald Trump's fault because he uses mean language, because he beats people down. He doesn't lift people up. So, very interesting interview so far. 806-680-2790. We'll get to some of the fallout from this as the program continues. You can send in your thoughts on the text line, 806-680-2790. Yesterday, or I guess last night, Ted Cruz and Colin Allred had a debate over at WFAA in Dallas. Some of the latest, I guess you could say, fallout after that. Cruz expanding his lead over Allred in the Texas Senate race. Senator Ted Cruz expanding his lead, according to a new University of Houston survey released today, showing Cruz holds a 4-point advantage over Colin Allred, a 3-term House member, putting his lead outside the 2.7-point margin of error. Now, if you add up all the polls together, Cruz is leading Colin Allred by about 2.6 percentage points overall. Now, there was another poll that came out earlier today showing that Colin Allred was up by 1% in some other poll. According to the latest, Cruz is viewed favorably by 50%, unfavorably by 48% of surveyed voters. 46% of Texans view Allred favorably compared to 42% who view him unfavorably. On the presidential side, former President Donald Trump leading Vice President Harris by 5 percentage points, mirroring his margin of victory in 2020 over Biden in the Lone Star State. For Democrats, Cruz's seat, one of the only GOP-held ones that is within an arm's length, with less than 3 weeks until Election Day, though it has proven difficult to get near. Most surveys in recent weeks, including one by The Hill, show Cruz with a 3 to 5 point lead. The narrowing gap prompted the Cook Political Report to shift the race from likely Republican to lean Republican just 2 weeks ago. Now, of course, Cruz has been not only has he been out fundraised by Colin Allred, Cruz is getting no help whatsoever from Senate Republicans. He's getting no help whatsoever from Mitch McConnell's PAC, which doles out a lot of money, which leads me to believe that Mitch McConnell really wouldn't care if Ted Cruz loses. He's not a fan of Ted Cruz, which Cruz is not a big fan of Mitch McConnell. But Cruz has been a little bit critical in recent days of Mitch McConnell not forking over some money, and this is a big race. If you want to keep control of the Senate, and not only that, you think about just the direction of the state of Texas. If the Democrats were to win in Texas, if they were to win the Senate seat, it would be a dramatic shot across the bow of where the state is moving, and it would give the Democrats a lot of momentum, and a lot of money would be flowing into the state to really help out down-ballot Democrats in the future. And incumbents are hard to beat. Let's not forget about that. Incumbents are hard to beat, and there are a lot of people who believe once a Democrat wins a statewide seat, they're going to be there for a while. When you look at the Senate, you want to have as many Republicans in the U.S. Senate as possible. You want to win back the Senate and have a nice little healthy margin. You would think that even Mitch McConnell, even though he may hate Ted Cruz, you would think that he would like to see more Republicans in the Senate than hold this animosity towards Ted Cruz. But that's what Mitch McConnell is doing. 806-680-2790. Ted Cruz will be in Lubbock tomorrow. He's going to be having a campaign event tomorrow at 11 a.m. It's going to be one that you can turn out to and see Cruz. You can get tickets on this website, Ted Cruz. You just have to register. You don't have to buy anything. But Cruz will be in Lubbock tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the Texas Cafe and Bar, The Spoon, at 3604 50th Street, from 11 a.m. to 12:30. There'll be a big rally over at The Spoon. 3604 50th Street. Cruz will speak to voters and rally everybody, remind people to get out and vote. If you're in Amarillo, Cruz is having a rally in Amarillo this evening over at the Big Texan. Yeah, over at the I don't know if he's going to do the Big Texan Challenge or not. Nick, have you ever done the Big Texan Challenge? We'll talk about that when we come back here on the Chad Hasty Show. That and much more. We'll be right back.
The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790.
On the road with Mr. Rhodes.
I see a lot of things on the road that make me wonder. Like someone in a cow costume selling beef jerky? I mean, if I were a cow, would I be selling beef? And one thing I've got to beef with is pedestrians not using intersections and crosswalks. Those horizontal stripes keep you from ending up horizontal. Cross only when the signal says walk. And always look left, right, left. That's a key to staying safe on foot. And that makes Mr. Rhodes very happy.
Be safe, walk smart. A message from TxDOT.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
News and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. You're listening to The Chad Hasty Show.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you being out there today. You can send in your thoughts on the text line at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Sound off on any of the topics that you'd like to get into. We mentioned earlier that Ted Cruz will be in Amarillo this evening at the Big Texan at 6:45 to 8:15. He'll be out there doing a big rally at the Big Texan. Of course, they've got the Big Texan Challenge, which Nick was shaking his head. You don't think you could do the Big Texan Challenge?
Well, I was shaking my head to you asking if Senator Cruz would be doing.
Wouldn't you love to see that, though?
I'd love to. You're right. I would.
I mean, that'd be pretty awesome if he went in and said, you know what, I'm hungry after last night.
Yeah.
And he sat down and he started eating the food. He started eating and just said, we're going to rally while I'm having this food. And he's talking and rallying and I think it'd be great.
I think he has his schedule's a little busy. I think to fit in a food challenge as he travels Texas. It's just what I think.
Again, he could do both.
You're
he
right.
Could
I'm not
do-
doubting him. You're right.
He could do both.
Yeah.
Do you know what the challenge is?
I've heard of it. I don't quite remember.
All right.
I know it's a lot of food.
It's a lot. Here are the rules for the
Yeah.
72-ounce steak challenge. The entire meal must be completed in 1 hour. So look, he's there from 6:45 to 8 something. Okay, he's got time. You're telling me that if Ted Cruz starts chowing down on the steak and the 72-ounce steak challenge in front of, you don't think all cameras will go live? If Fox shows up, they're going live. You're going to have some reporter there going, ladies and gentlemen, Ted Cruz is attempting the 72-ounce steak challenge. Now, before time starts, you will be allowed to cut into the steak and take one bite. If the steak tastes good and is cooked to your satisfaction, they will start the time upon your acceptable approval. The time will not stop, and the contest is on, so make sure you say yes. Once you have started, you're not allowed to stand up or leave your table or have anyone else touch the meal. You'll be disqualified if anyone assists you in cutting, preparing, or eating of your meal. You don't have to eat the fat, but we will judge this. Should you become ill, the contest is over, you lose. You're required to pay the full amount up front. If you win, we will refund you 100%. You also have to sit at the table assigned. If you do not win the steak challenge, you're welcome to take the leftovers with you, that's good. That's nice. If you fail to complete the challenge, you must pay the full $72. Over 10,000 people have completed the 72-ounce steak challenge. That's pretty good. And this was last updated last year, so who knows? There have been over 93,000 attempts at the steak challenge. So again, Nick, I think you need to do this at some point, but I would love to see Ted Cruz do it. So here's the question today. Have you ever done a food challenge? Whether it's a hot food or a large amount of food, whatever it may be, have you ever completed a food challenge or even attempted a food challenge? We want to hear about it. 806-680-2790. You can send in your food challenges that you've participated in. Let's see. Texter asking one of the numbers on Cruz and Allred. Again, the Real Clear Politics average has Cruz up by about 2.6%. That's again just some of the latest numbers. Is that Cruz is about is up about 2.6%. In some polls, he's up by as high as 4 percentage points. But it's not a big gap. Remember, he defeated Beto O'Rourke by about 2.9 percentage points. 806-680-2790. Vice President Kamala Harris facing a critical moment in her campaign today as she has sat down with an interview with Fox News. The interview being conducted by Bret Baier, one of the network's most widely respected anchors. It'll air at, airing right now during the regular show, having been recorded immediately beforehand. On social media Tuesday, Baier pushed back against critics who cast aspersions over the fact that the interview was not live. He insisted that the conversation would air as live, meaning without edits and uninterrupted. The bigger question, of course, is how the exchange will go for Harris. Her performances in unscripted settings can be uneven. That's one way to put it. One high point of her campaign today was her performance in the September debate with Donald Trump. On the other hand, her showing in a spate of recent TV interviews, most notably CBS's 60 Minutes, was adequate at best and brought back some of the memories of her underwhelming run for the Democrat nomination in 2020. Again, she's not very good in the unscripted moments. Not very good at all. Kamala Harris at one point telling Brett Baier that she does not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, says that she's not done that as vice president, will not do that as president, even though the borders were left wide open for the last few years. Dana Perino said Harris's quote about being responsible for what happens in one's own administration was a dig at Trump, but will be applied towards her. Again, she pushed back, at least from what I was able to see. She was pushing a little. She was trying to turn a lot of questions around and make it all about Donald Trump and how Donald Trump was the big threat to the United States, and Baier, he did a pretty good job of cutting her off at times and going, no, this is about you. This is about you and your administration and things that you've said and done. Brett Baier did ask at one point in the interview when Kamala Harris started to notice Joe Biden's downturn. She wouldn't she wouldn't accept any of that. She said that Joe Biden has been fine, which I think will make a lot of people cringe. And a lot of people go, okay, you're still lying about this entire thing. Still defending Joe Biden, still pretending that he has it all together when he clearly does not. Guy probably shouldn't even be in the Oval Office at this point. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and much more on the Chad Hasty Show.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at KFYO.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
As the election gets closer, let's go into some of the battleground states. We will head up to Wisconsin and out to Arizona to talk with two Senate candidates, Eric Hovde and Kari Lake, and see what they see on the ground in both of their battleground states. Plus, Buck.
Kamala Harris has decided she actually has to do some media, and that included a sit-down with Brett Baier. We'll discuss how that went for her on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, tomorrow morning at 11.
Yeah, Spider-Man and freezing.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you very much for tuning in today. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Rob weighing in saying, Chad the Turtle, old Mitch needs to put party before self to secure as many Republican wins as we can secure. Clearly, he needs to go. Let's see. Another texture weighing in on a food challenge. 8-year-old brother challenged to eat a whole jalapeno for 10 cents. Did it with tears rolling down my cheeks. Love spicy food. Still love spicy food at 68. Another texture, eating anything my crazy aunt makes is a challenge. Don't let your aunt hear that. Kamala, let's see. Texture says Kamala Harris can say she won't decriminalize illegal border crossings. However, she effectively did just that by not enforcing the laws and sending illegals back to their place of origin. She in this interview with Brett Baier, again, she spent the entire time blaming Trump. For all that has gone wrong in the last 3 years. I'm trying to remember, was Donald Trump president over the last 3 years? No? Okay. Because she spent a lot of the interview blaming Donald Trump for everything that has gone wrong in the country over the last few years. And again, he hasn't been president. Kamala Harris has been vice president, and she said over and over again that she was in the room. She was in the room making decisions. She was helping to make decisions. She was in the room. Well, okay, if America's ready to turn the page, if America's ready to get rid of where we have been, how are you blaming Donald Trump for that? Again, America might be ready to turn the page, but they're not ready to turn the page on Trump's leadership. He hasn't been in office. It's the current leadership that people are sick and tired of, and the Democrats continue to get very nervous. Texter weighed in on the app chat. Chad, I did a couple of years ago, I did a huge pancake challenge in Red River, New Mexico. Can't remember the exact restaurant it was at, but it was a hell of a lot of fun and delicious, and I was tired the rest of the day. I can't remember where that place is at, or which restaurant that is either, off the top of my head. But we ate there. This was last year. We met a guy who was doing food challenges across America. Like, that was his summer vacation, was going from city to city doing food challenges in the individual cities. And he won. He won the I guess the big pancake challenge. I think the winner was able to get not only like a picture on the wall, but you got to rename the challenge. I guess you could name it after you if you wanted to. Another texter, Gus, weighing in. Chad, I watched the Cruz Allred debate last night. Seemed like Allred took a page from Kamala's playbook. Didn't answer the question posed by the moderators. Old Timers Cafe, very good. Thank you for that. Yeah, again, in the portions of the debate that I watched, Allred he seemed to be on the defense. He wanted to accuse Ted Cruz of everything wrong in the world. He wanted to blame Ted Cruz for January 6th. I think at one time he said that Cruz was the architect of January 6th. I don't know how that happens. And that Cruz is somehow responsible for the ban on abortions. That's interesting. The Cruz ban on abortion. I didn't know that Cruz was responsible for that. But these were the talking points that that Colin Allred was throwing out last night. Again, I don't think he did very well. And one of the reasons why I don't think he did very well, there are really no Democrats talking about it today. There's no news about this. I mean, there's reporting from what happened last night, but you don't see any Democrats just out there celebrating last night's debate. The portions of the debate that I saw in the clips afterwards, I thought Ted Cruz did a fine job. Ted Cruz is a very good debater. People forget about this. He's a very good debater. He's a very smart guy. No matter what you think about Ted Cruz personally, and I get there's some people who don't like his personality. They really don't like it when he shows up to sporting events. Ted Cruz is a pretty smart guy. He's a pretty smart guy, and when you get him in a debate setting, he knows exactly how to dissect the issue and to make people focus on what he is saying and take them through the issue point by point. It really is a masterful job that Ted Cruz can do when he's you fully are engaged in what he is saying, and he's taking you point by point on what he believes and how the U.S. is going to get there. And we've seen it numerous times when Ted Cruz is on a debate stage. Ted Cruz is very good at debating. Very, very good at it. (806-680-2797). You can weigh in. Let's see. Elizabeth weighing in. Have I ever done a food challenge? Embarrassed to say that I have. And I did it when I was old enough to know better. Fellow postdoctoral associate challenged me to something they did when he was an undergrad at Brown University. Eat 1 dozen fresh donuts from a donut shop within an hour. Nick, do you think you could do that? A dozen fresh donuts? That sounds pretty easy. The challenge is that you get to pick 11 donuts, and your challenger chooses the last donut. You have to eat it all in 60-minute time period. You can drink as much as you want, any kind of beverage. And you have to keep it down for 15 minutes. The first 3 donuts were a lot of fun. The next 5 or 6 difficult. Seriously considered stopping the absurdity after the 4th donut. But I persisted. The last 3 were a horrific ordeal. We'll get to the rest of her text. It's pretty funny when we come back. Chad HD Show. We'll be right back.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media. Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is The Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show, final hour of the program. Tomorrow will be an open line Thursday. I'll be gone on Friday. Steve Evans will be hosting Friday's edition of the program. But have no fear, I'll return on Monday. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can weigh in on the text line. Also, you can get in touch by calling in at 1-800-687-0790. That's 1-800-687-0790. We've been asking you the question, have you ever participated in a food challenge? We've had a few folks weigh in. Elizabeth, she did a what was it, a 12 donut challenge at near Brown University, where she said the first 3 donuts were a lot of fun. Isn't that always the case with just donuts in general, though? Like, you get a lot of donuts, you get your 12 donuts, and you're like, okay, let's see, these look delicious. And then after like 2, you're like, oh man, whew, it's a lot of donut here. But I feel like 12 donuts in an hour, Nick, I feel like that's doable. And I was sent pictures of the pancake challenge in Red River, New Mexico at the Old Timers Cafe. Let me show you this. Let me show you these pancakes. Like, you've got to get through these pancakes in a very short time, okay? You got to eat those pancakes. Like when the Lions Club does a pancake festival, after like 2 pancakes, I'm out. Like, I'm tapped out after 2 pancakes. I'm done. Donuts, but I think an hour with donuts, I think I could, especially if they're hot donuts. You know, they just got done baking them, so you put them, and they just melt in your mouth. I could do that, I think.
I think it's also a difference of the texture,
yes,
and the consistency, because pancakes,
yeah,
usually are very dense.
Yes.
They're the batter. I mean, they're delicious.
Yeah.
But like you said, you tap out after a few.
Yeah, they sit in you.
Exactly,
yeah, it's like,
exactly.
oh, your stomach's like, oh man.
Yeah, but a donut.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's like a cake donut. I mean, which I doubt that's what these are. They're relatively airy.
Yes.
You know, you can squish them.
And see, she says that your buddy gets to pick the last donut.
Right.
And she says that was covered with icing, sprinkles, and other sugary things. She said I almost stopped after the 11th one.
Yeah. But I would imagine the first 11, though, were probably just like your typical fluffy donuts.
Yeah. See, I would choose if you were doing the challenge and I got to choose the last one, I'd be like cake donut.
Yeah. Jelly-filled cake donut, all the toppings.
Oh, yes,
everything.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she won the challenge. But she said she didn't feel right for a few days afterwards. Let's see. Another texter. When I was about 10, I was challenged to drink a whole gallon of water, and then not go to the bathroom for an hour. Ended up winning $100 from the older brother, but it was painful. $100. Hey, why not? Kim in Lubbock, I find it very unserious when people won't vote for Ted Cruz because they don't like him. I don't like Greg Abbott, yet I voted for him. I don't like how he doesn't interact with the legislature. I don't like how he keeps bringing up California businesses and their liberal employees to Texas. But we're voting for policy, not a homecoming king. We don't want any more liberal communists in seats of power. This is about saving our country, not whether you like someone. Very good. Chad, a dozen donuts is very doable, but it's not worth it. Trust me, just say no. Nick, I think we're going to do the donut challenge. I'll bring up some donuts one day, and it'll be hard for me to. I won't be able to do it because I'll be talking the entire time. But I'm going to give you an hour of the show, and you get to eat the donuts. We'll do it like on a Friday. That way you have the weekend to recover. But I won't pick out anything crazy. I'll just do something nice and easy for you, okay? What do you like? Just do like a chocolate and regular glaze. How about that? Is that good?
Yeah, I think that'd be. No, I don't really eat donuts.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little tough for me. But I do like the idea of going to and from break. Doing my duties here while stuffing my face with donuts.
Yeah, I think it's great.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think it's good that it's on a Friday.
Yeah, we'll do it on a Friday.
Yeah, that's probably.
Yeah, not this Friday. We'll do it on a Friday. Maybe as we get closer to Thanksgiving, we'll do it.
Yeah. Are you going to give me like a drink? Can I drink something?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. Then yeah, it's probably doable.
Yeah.
I could do like what the professionals do.
No, you can't do that. That's disgusting, and I will not allow it. No.
Dunk them.
No.
In water.
Don't you even think about it.
I think how easy it is to eat.
No.
Right down the gullet.
Just right down. Yeah,
no. Soggy donut.
No.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. 806-680-2790. Okay, so if you go to realclearpolling.com, there's a map that there's a map showing where the election stands today as of polling, and you have the swing states. You have the swing states of Nevada, Arizona, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. So as of right now, if everything stays where it should be, they say Donald Trump has 219 electoral votes, where Kamala Harris has 215 electoral votes. What's interesting about this map, and you get to play around with it, is it shows the swing states and who's leading in these swing states. And right now, Trump is up in virtually every single swing state, except for right now, the latest poll in Wisconsin, where Harris is only up by 0.3 percentage points. But I think it's also important to remember this. In Pennsylvania, let's go through some of these swing states. In Pennsylvania, the Real Clear Politics average shows that Donald Trump is up 0.3 percentage points in Pennsylvania. 4 years ago, Joe Biden led Pennsylvania by over 5 points. The end result in 2020 was Biden winning by 1.2 percentage points in Pennsylvania. In Wisconsin, Harris is up by 0.3. Joe Biden led Wisconsin by 6.3 percentage points. He won it by 0.7. Michigan. Trump is up 1 point in Michigan, according to the average of polls. Joe Biden at this stage led that state by 7 percentage points, finished and won that state with 2.8 percentage points in 2020. So you see what it's looking like, right? Are you seeing the trend? Arizona. Trump is up by 1.1 percentage points. Joe Biden led that state by 4 points, and then he won the state by 0.3, if he won it. Nevada. Trump is up by 0.5 point in Nevada. At this point in the race, 4 years ago, Joe led by 5 percentage points, finished by winning it, the state by 2.4 percentage points. Again, you're seeing where this is going. Georgia. Trump is up by almost a full point, where Biden led by 2 points and finished with 0.3 percentage points. North Carolina. Trump up 1.2 points. Biden was up 2.7%. The 2020 result, Trump won North Carolina by about 1.3 percentage points. Virginia, Harris is up by 6 points in Virginia. It's Virginia, not really a swing state, but it could be. 4 years ago, Joe Biden led that state by 11 points, finished winning the state with 9.4 percentage points. Hillary won Virginia with about 5 percentage points. Ohio, Trump is up by 7 points. 4 years ago, Trump was up by 0.5 point, finished winning the state by 8.2%. And in Minnesota, Harris is up by 4.7%. Joe led the state 2020 with 6.6%, and he won at 7.2%. So you see the trends. It's looking very good for Donald Trump. So you go back to the map. And let's just say Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania. Okay? It's very possible that he wins Pennsylvania. And then you start adding up some of these other states. It doesn't take long before Trump gets to 270. Doesn't take long at all for that to happen. When we come back, we'll get more into this and why things are looking good for Trump and why the Democrats are freaking out right now. Because behind the scenes, they are. We'll be right back.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, it is the final stretch. We're in the final countdown. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. The latest polls, the latest ads, the issues, and more, plus Clay.
22 days until the election, and many of you are going to be able to get out and early vote. We're going to give you the absolute latest. Encourage you to get those votes in. Clay and Buck, Monday. Come hang.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Monday morning at 11. Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
As the election gets closer, let's go into some of the battleground states. We will head up to Wisconsin and out to Arizona to talk with two Senate candidates, Eric Hovde and Kari Lake, and see what they see on the ground in both of their battleground states. Plus, Buck.
Kamala Harris has decided she actually has to do some media, and that included a sit-down with Bret Baier. We'll discuss how that went for her on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. Tomorrow morning at 11.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you very much for tuning in today. we're talking about the Electoral College, the map, and where we are as of right now, the state of the race. If you were to believe all the polls that are out there and why the trends are good for Donald Trump and why the Democrats are freaking out behind the scenes, this is why. Donald Trump is either leading or very close in just about all but maybe one or two swing states. So let's say he wins Pennsylvania. Republicans right now, they safely or semi-safely have 219 electoral votes as of today, if the election were held today. If you win Pennsylvania, that takes you up to 238. If Trump wins Georgia, he's at 254. All he needs after that is North Carolina, and there are 16 electoral votes, and he gets to 270. If, let's say, Trump doesn't win North Carolina, let's say he wins Georgia, he could win Michigan. That'd put him at 269, and all he would have to do is win one other state. He could win Pennsylvania, go to Wisconsin, and take North Carolina. He's at 280. I think he's going to win more than just 3 swing states. I think as of right now, Trump's going to win Pennsylvania. I think he's going to win North Carolina. And I think he's going to at least win Wisconsin and possibly Michigan. And he could even win Arizona. And that would put him at the 306 electoral votes. Now you see Kamala Harris and the Democrats, they're all hoping that there will be some shakeup in the last few weeks, and there could be. You know, you've got people talking about the Trump trials again. You've got Kamala Harris hammering Trump on being mean and racist and bigoted and you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Things that we've constantly heard. You have Barack Obama going out on the campaign trail chastising black men for not voting for Kamala Harris. The Democrats are freaking out behind the scenes. And this is why, is because Donald Trump is in a very good position. And Kamala Harris continues to get weaker and weaker and weaker. Now, if Republicans don't turn out to vote, we're going to have a problem. But you're seeing a huge turnout already in Georgia. You're seeing a huge turnout in Georgia. Remember the new voting rules were supposed to suppress votes and people wouldn't be able to vote in Georgia? Well, here they are. They're crushing it at the polls right now in Georgia. And so you can go to the website 270towin.com. That's one site you can visit, and you can see some of the different polling that's out there. And you can also go to realclearpolling.com. And you can see where some of the trends are right now. Again, Michigan, Trump versus Harris. He's up 1 point in Michigan. In Arizona, he's up a point. In North Carolina, he's up a point. Pennsylvania, he's up by less than a point. But there has been a huge Trump undercount in these states. We've seen that in the past. And if that's true again this time, then you're looking at least 3 to 4, maybe 5 swing states that could go easily towards Trump if Republicans turn out to vote. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. There was a national poll that came out today. Harris leading Trump by 5 points among likely voters. A new Marist poll released on Wednesday Harris and her running mate, Tim Walz, receiving 52% support, while Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, received 47%. This would be an outlier of polls. Harris's lead has grown since the previous poll conducted September 27th through October 1st, when she led Trump by 2 points among likely voters. Has Kamala Harris done anything to show that she has expanded her appeal to voters? I don't think so. The Trump-Vance ticket performs slightly better against Walz and Harrison Walz among registered voters who backed the Democrat ticket over the Republican ticket by 3 points, 51-48. Again, this poll an outlier of most polls that show that Donald Trump is within about 2% nationally. And again, if you're the Harris campaign, as I've told you before, they don't feel comfortable unless they're up 4 to 5 percentage points, not only nationally, but in these swing states as well. That's where they want to be up, just like Joe was. And she is performing worse than Joe in the swing states and in many other states. She's not performing as well. And a texter saying it would be a strange scenario in which New Mexico would matter, but I wouldn't count them out. If the rural areas turn out, then they can turn red. Let me see if there's if I can find anything out of New Mexico. It's been a while since they've done any polling whatsoever out of New Mexico. Kamala Harris leading in New Mexico by about 8 percentage points. It's a solid blue state. It would be a huge shock if New Mexico were to turn red or get even close to turning red. I mean, the polling outfits there, they're not even polling anymore. That's how blue New Mexico is at this point. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and much more.
Call in to the Chad Hasty Show at 1-800-687-0790. The Chad Hasty Show, broadcasting on the Texas Town Square Media Network.
Today's markets from the Texas Department of Ag.
Well, howdy, neighbors. Texas feeder cattle support prices $5 lower. One barn was $7 higher. Cattle futures were mixed. October live cattle futures up 33 cents, closed at 187 and a nickel. October feeder cattle futures down 43 cents to close at 246.10. December cotton futures up, closed at 71.26. December wheat futures down 7 pennies, closing at 5.89 a bushel. December corn up 4 cents to close at 4.05. And November soybean futures down 11 cents, closed at $9.80 a bushel. October soybean meal futures up $1.90, closed at $313.70 per ton. October Class 3 milk futures up a penny to close at $22.55 a hundred. November crude oil futures down 39 cents, trading at $70.55 a barrel. The Dow Jones is up 337 points to close at 43,077. And that's Market Roundup from the Texas Department of Agriculture. I'm your Commissioner, Sid Miller. And remember, friends, Texas agriculture matters. So,
the news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Chad Hasty, talking the news at the start, middle, and end of your drive home, and when news breaks. This is the Chad Hasty Show.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you for tuning in today. You can send in your thoughts on the text line 806-680-2790. Story out of the Washington Examiner. Let's see. Mark Halperin says a Trump win will result in a national mental health crisis, violence, and divorce. Let's see. In 2020, Secrets declared that Me Too disgraced journalist Mark Halperin was back, tapping into his sources and political knowledge to dish on the news of the day. 4 years later, he's become an influential voice, especially recently with his reports of chaos and panic in the campaign operation of Vice President Kamala Harris and his prediction of a win by former President Donald Trump. He has stepped it up even more, appearing on Tucker Carlson's podcast this week, in which he shocked the host by declaring that a Trump victory will bring violence, divorce, and the greatest mental health crisis in the history of the country. Halperin, who leads the morning meeting on two-way with former Trump spokesman Sean Spicer and Democrat political strategist Dan Turrentine, also expressed concerns about a Harris presidency, especially in her ability to create a government. Quote, I really do worry about her, even if she emerges from this election with the country in love with her, not the whole country, but enough to have a honeymoon if she rises to the occasion. If the world leaders don't seem poised to take advantage of her in some way, even if all that happens, I really do worry about her getting a government in place. It was his reaction to Carlson's question about a Trump victory that stood out, and that the Washington Examiner printed below. Mark Halperin said to the question, what happens if Trump wins 3 weeks from today? Halperin says, I would say this not flippantly. I think it'll be a great cause of the greatest mental health crisis in the history of the country. I think tens of millions of people will question their connection to the nation, their connection to other human beings, their connection to their vision of what their future is for them and for what their children could be like. And I think it'll require an enormous amount of access to mental health professionals. It'll lead to trauma in the workplace. I think there will be some degree of, I'm 100% serious, I think there will be alcoholism. There will be broken marriages. There will be those, they think he's the worst person to be president. He's talking about the Democrats, folks, that the Democrats will absolutely lose their minds if Donald Trump wins. And he could be right. That the left, remember, for years now, the left has said that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, that he's a horrible person, and they thought he was done. They have spent year after year after year, time and time and time, millions of dollars, a huge effort by the Department of Justice to get Trump out of the way. And if he wins, yeah, these people are going to go crazy. They're going to go nuts. Halperin continued, I don't think it'll be the kind of passing thing that by the inauguration everything will be fine. I think it'll be sustained and unprecedented and hideous, and I don't think the country is ready for it. Carlson answered back, so mental health crisis often manifest in violence. Halperin said, yes, I think there will be some violence. There will be some workplace fights. There will be fights at kids' birthday parties. I think there will be protests that turn violent. And I think he's probably right. He's probably right because the Democrats and the left, they will flip out. And as much as they hated Trump the first go around, they're going to hate him even more this go around if he wins. Now, is that a reason not to vote for Trump? Absolutely not. I'm just telling you, you better be ready. You better be ready for people just to absolutely lose. I mean, you remember what happened when Trump was elected the first time. And you had you may have lost people who were friends of yours who thought, oh, there's no way I can't be friends with a Trump supporter. Oh, I can't be friends with. Oh, there's no way I can be friends with a Trump supporter. I'm done with you. There were families that refused to see other family members because of their support for Donald Trump. Now again, I remember some polling that came out where it said if you were a Republican and you had family members or friends who were Hillary Clinton supporters, will you refuse to see them for Christmas? And most Republicans said, no, of course not. We're not going to refuse to see people because of their political persuasion. No. But Democrats, yeah, they didn't want anything to do with Trump supporters. So I fully expect, and listen, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But you've already seen attempts against Donald Trump's life with him running for president this go around. And if he wins, I don't think they're going to stop. I think you're going to see an even more concerted effort. And again, I hope I'm wrong. But I think there are nut jobs who are still out there. There are crazy people who are still out there who believe that Donald Trump is Hitler, that Donald Trump will ruin democracy, that Donald Trump will bring down the republic, and that they have to do something. Because that's what the left has been preaching for years now. And then if you believe there's going to be a mental health crisis because of this, if you believe that the Democrats are going to go a little nutty if Donald Trump wins, there's bound to be someone out there that is going to decide, well, you know what, I'm gonna take it upon myself. I'm going to do something. And that's where this gets real scary. That's where this gets really dangerous for Donald Trump. And he knows it. His family knows it. His family knows the threats. But I think we're going to see more of this. And again, I hope I'm wrong about it. I hope it doesn't happen. But we've been saying for a long time now that if Donald Trump wins, the left in this country is going to go nuts. They're going to go crazy. They're going to protest. You're going to have protests in the streets. We're all of a sudden going to have the Me Too movement again. You're going to have women marching around with pink hats again. You'll see Black Lives Matter return. We haven't seen BLM in a long time. They'll return all of a sudden. Everything will be racist. Everything will be misogynistic. Everything will be a phobia. Everything will just spiral out of control for the left. And what the news media will refuse to do is show how they were complacent in all of this. How they were the ones who helped feed this idea that Donald Trump is so bad and if that he wins, then it's the end of our democracy. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and much more.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at kfyo.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
As the election gets closer, let's go into some of the battleground states. We will head up to Wisconsin and out to Arizona to talk with two Senate candidates, Eric Hovde and Kari Lake. and see what they see on the ground in both of their battleground states. Plus, Buck.
Kamala Harris has decided she actually has to do some media, and that included a sit-down with Brett Baer. We'll discuss how that went for her on Clay and Buck.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, tomorrow morning at 11.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show. Now, Kamala Harris did sit for the interview with Brett Baer. She showed up 15 minutes late. She was supposed to sit for an interview for about 25 to 30 minutes. And before she showed up, her handlers told Brett Baer, maybe we're only going to do 20 minutes. And then after that, she shows up 15 minutes late. He's got to get this on the air. He's got to make a turnaround real quickly. And then at the very end of it, as she is struggling to answer questions, her team, 4 people, Brett Baer said, started giving the wrap-up sign to him. So she's very upset. She's not happy with the question. Here was one of the big questions that nobody has asked Kamala Harris. Not one person has asked Kamala Harris except for Brett Baer.
Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump.
The significance
you
of that.
call Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now
He's
unstable.
He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
But
is.
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump.
So, Trump's the crazy one. Trump is the guy who can't handle the job. Trump is the one who is mentally unfit, mentally unstable, not able to perform the duties of president, yet she's still, to this day, even after she was one of the ones who threw Joe Biden under the bus and then backed the bus back and forth over Joe Biden's body. She doesn't have the guts to say, you know what? I lied to the American people. Joe Biden doesn't have the faculty to be president of the United States. She won't do it. She won't admit it. She still wants people to think that Joe has it all together. And if people were watching that interview, everything that she said beforehand and after it's all blown apart because she will not. She shows that she was part of the cover-up because everybody out there. Everyone out there who has any common sense whatsoever looks at Joe Biden and goes, oh, he doesn't have it together. He can't. He doesn't need to be in the Oval Office. He's lost it. It was a great question from Brett Baer, which you got to watch the video. I have retweeted it if you follow me on Twitter. But you've got to watch it because she has this look of, oh my God, I can't believe you actually asked the question. Her team should have prepared her for that question. But instead she sits back and she's almost like, I don't know. Donald Trump's on the ballot, not Joe Biden. Joe Biden's not on the ballot. Joe Biden's not, but he was at one point. And you sat there and you told people that he was doing just fine. 806-680-2790. Texture, everything you have just described is exactly why I wish Trump would not have run. It's making us all miserable. As much as I truly appreciate the man, he should not have run for our sake, the country's sake, however. J.D. Vance is amazing, so I'm grateful for him putting him up as VP. I'm not miserable. I don't think half the country is miserable. I think Democrats are miserable. I think there are some Republicans that want to get back to, maybe the non-Trump years, but I'm not miserable watching the campaign. I'm not miserable, hoping that Donald Trump wins the election and brings the country back. Do I fear for our country? Yeah. But that would be the case no matter who was the nominee. Whether it be Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or anyone. I have fear for our country because of what the Democrats and the communists want to do to this country. That's the fear that I have for this country. And we have a whole bunch of people in this country who they just want free stuff. They want the handouts. They don't care. They want the handouts. And there are a great number of people who hate this country, who want to totally redo it, want to rip it apart, rip it down, and basically start a new country. That's what I fear. That is the worry that I have. Want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Reminder, tomorrow will be an open line Thursday. I will not be here on Friday. Appreciate everybody tuning in this evening. You can follow me on social media at ChadHD Radio. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you all. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. It's going to be a packed show, by the way. Very, very busy. Lots of guests. As I close out the week for me, but lots of guests tomorrow. So get in when you can. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.